Sunday, everyone. Hopefully you having a great day, even after, or even if you were in Uptown Charlotte last night. I'm very sorry to all the Charlotte FC folks who were unable to watch the match, but hopefully getting another opportunity to at some point. Now, today's main point of this restream is to talk about the storms that we have this afternoon, and they're going to be similar in some ways to yesterday's storms, but uh, atypical in others. So let's start off with what's going on right now, right? We have clouds in a few spots that are still seeing some lingering low clouds, and we have sunshine in others. So Charlotte looks great, Monroe looks great. You can still see our Dallas Tower Cam picking up on some of those high clouds out there, and Kannapolis still looking pretty cloudy. It does look like Kannapolis. The Cannonballers do have a 1 p.m. Baseball game. First pitch is at 1. It does look like that should get off without a hitch, but the storms will start to roll in by the afternoon. So what's going on right now? You can see satellite and radar imagery showing that we had a few areas of light to moderate rain moving through Watauga County earlier this morning, but pretty much everyone is dry now. Now, what's going to happen is go throughout the day. We have this cold front that was which pretty much moved through our area on Friday. Then what it did was it stalled. Now it's going to actually head away from us and lift north as a warm front. So here's where it is right now. You can see on the left side of your screen, that's that stalled front with the blue and red, and then that warm front there expanding over on the east side. So as this front lifts northward, it's going to put us in the really warm and moist sector of our current setup. Now, one thing I want to point out is that when you have high amounts of atmospheric moisture, so what we call precipitable water values, in this case, they're above about 2 inches. That means the atmosphere is so soaked, so humid that you could essentially take a sponge and just squeeze it on out, which allows for enough of that moisture to stick around, right? To see heavy rain, oftentimes it means that if you see wind gusts, downburst winds, that really heavy rain kind of shoves those winds to the ground and can cause what's called a wet microburst, where we have the rain and, of course, all of that wind potential. Also, and of course, this frontal boundary moving through is also going to allow for an additional spin in the atmosphere, which is going to have other impacts. So essentially, as the front begins to lift northward, again, we're going to be on this warm and moist sector here of the storm system. That is going to allow for more pop-up showers and storms to develop, mainly by the second half of the day. Now, because of the proximity of where that front is, I do expect our highest rainfall chances, our highest risk for some strong to severe storms, to be along and north of Charlotte, mainly toward I-40 and north. So we're talking the mountains, the foothills, so Watauga, Avery County, Burke County, Caldwell County, northern parts of Alexander County, northern parts there of Iredell County, and northern Rowan County, and even into northern parts there of Lincoln County too. So it's kind of that general area, again, mainly north of Charlotte, even northern Mecklenburg County, not out of the question. And that's, of course, because that storm system is lifting north. Now, officially from the Storm Prediction Center, they have a low risk for severe weather for Mecklenburg County, Gaston County, northern Cleveland. You can see all the way to our east. But just based on what I've seen with the latest model data, I still do think that our best opportunity for rain and storms will be north of the area. So let's talk impacts. Number one is still going to be flash flooding. Now, I say this because every day is not treated equally, right? Especially in the summertime or when we have a setup like this, where we've seen rain consistently for multiple days. We saw rain and storms Monday, rain and storms Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And then yesterday, those late evening storms. And keep in mind, all of that happened across the metro at 6 p.m. or later. We saw almost 2 inches of rain at the Charlotte airport. That wasn't a record, but it was our wettest day since April 18th. So it had been months since we have seen that much rain in a short period of time. So when you have an already saturated ground, right, and you get more rain, the rain has lesser places to go. So flash flooding, I still do think is our highest impact today. Now, the second thing is the winds. Downburst wind gusts between about 50 to 60 miles an hour will be possible. We've had a wind threat for the past 3 or so days, but today's difference is actually that heavy rain, all that moisture I was talking about. Again, when the heavy rain kind of gets shoved closer to the ground, it allows for those winds to kind of get shoved out. That's what we're talking about when we talk about a downburst or a microburst. And in this case, a wet microburst can actually push out the winds at 60 miles an hour or even higher. Something else to note is that when you have a really saturated ground, you add in the ground saturated and the gusty winds, that allows for trees to topple over much easier because the ground is already wet. And so it takes less of a wind to allow for those to topple because of course their roots are looser, their roots are exposed and all those things. So again, number one, flooding threat. Number two, wind threat. Now, number three is a low risk for a quick spin up tornado. Now, these can happen very quickly. We know that, of course, especially during spring and summer severe weather seasons. Now, the reason why I'm maybe harping on this a little bit more. It's just the fact that during spring severe weather season, we almost always had a low risk for a tornado because a lot of our storm systems were driven by cold fronts. But lately, they've been driven largely just by the daytime heating of the afternoon, which oftentimes does not have that low in tornado risk. But today's threat for strong to severe storms is going to be more spring like. It's going to be more driven by this cold front, the positioning of it, the fact that it's putting us on this warm, moist sector. It's allowing for more spin in the atmosphere, a little bit of higher wind shear. So I just want everyone to kind of be on alert for that low risk for a quick spin up. Again, they can happen quickly. You should consider, I never like telling people what to do, but consider downloading our free WCNC Charlotte mobile app. You can, of course, get the live radar, the latest forecast from our team, which of course we do update. So it's not the app that comes with your phone. It's updated by a human forecasters. Always do a better job. And also another tool that you can have is if you turn on the location settings, if there were to be a severe thunderstorm warning or tornado warning issued in your area, it would go off. And a little bit of a plug here. It will go off even if you're out of town. So keep that in mind. I was in Florida last week with some family, and we had a few storms over the area, and I got those alerts even on my CNC app. So you got to love that. The hail risk is pretty low. We've seen pretty low hail risk over the past few weeks or so. It's just not really that time of the year where we see those higher and taller storms. So the hail threat is low. So with that being said, I'm going to show you a Futurecast hour by hour. I do want everyone to remember, of course, that models are not gospel truth, right? It just kind of gives us a better idea of what's going to happen. So here's my latest thought. I think that we already saw some of those earlier showers that models were picking up, of course, across the mountains and foothills. By about 1, 2 o'clock, we'll start to see a few storms developing, Ashe, Watauga, Avery County, again, mainly north of I-40. Now, what I want to draw your attention to is as I progress through this Futurecast, if you look really closely at some of these storms that will be developing north of the Charlotte area, overlaid on top of those areas of rain, see those little specks here of what looks like a white and like yellow shading? Those are actually rotation tracks. So it doesn't mean that that is a tornado. It just means that some of these storms are indicating that they will likely be rotating at times, which means a funnel cloud, and of course it could be a quick spin up. So it's this time frame, mainly between about 4 and 8 p.m. that I do think will have a slightly better chance there of seeing some of those rotating storms. Again, still primarily along and north of I-40. And then you can see as we progress hour by hour with the Futurecast, it's not going to be a significant wind storm event for the Charlotte Metro. So if you live in southern Mecklenburg County, pretty much uptown and south, you do not have a high risk for storms. Now, that doesn't mean that you won't see 1 or 2 pop off, but your risk is much lower than areas along and north of the I-40 corridor. So with that being said, again, any storms that do develop could become strong to severe, but your highest threat is Lincoln County up toward Catawba County, Alexander, Iredell, Rowan County, mountains and foothills, especially where they've already seen a lot of rain. And of course, they've already seen a lot of storms and a lot of course, saturated ground, which is why the flooding potential is a little bit higher. So I just mentioned this, but I just wanted to throw in one of our explainer graphics we love to use when we do our weather IQs. But, when you have wind gusts between about 40 to 60 miles an hour, it kind of pushes out, with some of these storms. Dry ground keeps roots locked in, but when, of course, they're saturated, it kind of shakes things up and loosens things up. And so, of course, they are more susceptible to wind and can sometimes be more likely to topple over. We had some power outages this morning reported from some of the weather that we had last night. So with that, because we're going to see a similar setup, if not more of a wind threat today, I do just want everyone to be reminded of that, of course, and you want to watch out for some isolated power outages. It is hot, it is sticky, it is that time of the year, so no one wants that to happen, of course. So just keep that in mind, and of course, we'll bring you updates on if any of that happens on our Wake Up Charlotte starting at 4:30 a.m. tomorrow morning. Chris Mulcahy's still on paternity leave, so Larry Sprinkle will be in here with your weather forecast, and I'll be helping him out with traffic and midday weather. So to kind of summarize things, this is not a significant threat for strong to severe storms, but it's a threat that's a little bit different than what we've had as of late. Scattered showers and storms, mainly this afternoon. Best chance north of Charlotte, closer to the I-40 corridor. We will see Heavy rain leading to localized flooding. That's the number one risk. Number two is going to be those damaging downburst winds in excess of 60 miles an hour. Any loose items you don't want to lose, the trash can, all those good things. You probably want to bring those inside just in case. I know I would if I had a house. And then number three is going to be that quick spin up potential, which is a low risk. It's just not zero. And I just want everyone to be reminded and be weather aware because we haven't had this risk in a while. Tomorrow, we'll see scattered storms again, 91 degrees, that forecast high, but it's not going to be quite as much rain that we'll see today. And then we pretty much slowly increase our temperature as our rain chances go down. By the middle of the week, we'll be in the mid 90s, heat index values once again over 100, which will constitute a heat wave. I do not think, though, we're going to be near heat advisory criteria by any stretch. So, we're pretty much typical today, tomorrow, but hotter than normal as we hit the middle part of the week. Charlotte FC's next home match is 7 p.m. on Wednesday. I've been looking at things consistently for the past few days, and honestly, this morning too, based on what happened last night. And other than the fact that it's going to be hot and humid, models have been consistent on those lower rain chances for Wednesday. So if you have maybe season tickets and you're upset about last night, positive news there that we continue to trend drier for Wednesday evening. Eventually, as we hit the latter half of the week, heading into next weekend, it does look like things get a bit more stormy once again, but that'll be just pretty typical too for August standards. And yes, I say August because today is July 31st. So enjoy your last day of July. Please stay weather aware. Follow our team, social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and of course that WCNC Charlotte mobile app. I hope everyone stays safe, everyone stays weather aware, and I will see you, as Mr. Larry Sprinkle will say, on the big broadcast tomorrow morning, starting at 5 a.m. Have a great day.